Hello, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're plunging into a topic that might seem a little, well, foundational, maybe even a bit dry at first glance.
Uh-huh.
But trust me, it's the unsung hero, the literal backbone of our modern world. We're talking about the global steel pipe market.
Right. Seems simple, but it's everywhere.
Exactly. And before you tune out thinking pipes are boring, let me assure you, this isn't just about steel. It's really about global ambition, huge infrastructure projects, and the very arteries of our evolving planet.
Absolutely.
We've spent time with the Global Steel Pipe Market Report 2025-2033 from Cognitive Market Research, and our mission, as always, is to quickly unpack the crucial insights, maybe some surprising trends, and move beyond just the raw number.
Get behind the data.
Yeah.
So let's unpack this.
What's truly fascinating here, I think, beyond the sheer utility of, a steel pipe, is how profoundly this market reflects the state of global development.
When you consider the vast networks for energy, the intricate water systems that sustain our cities, or even just the framework of urban expansion, steel pipes are everywhere, underpinning it all.
They really are, hidden in plain sight.
Totally.
Yeah.
This report really pulls back the curtain on the consistent, robust growth and the sheer scale of an industry that, for many people, remains completely out of sight.
Right.
Yet it's anything but static. It's a dynamic, expanding force that underpins nearly every major global project you can think of.
Absolutely, and the scale is what truly grabs your attention first, isn't it?
It really does.
Let's start with that big global picture. The report says the global steel pipe market generated a substantial $81.507 billion back in 2021.
81 billion, that's already huge.
It is. But what's even more compelling is where it's headed. It's projected to rise to $99.45 billion by 2025.
Okay.
And then leap all the way to an estimated $148.056 billion by 2033.
Wow, nearly double the 2021 figure.
Exactly. That reflects a healthy compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 5.1% globally. For an industry so established, so fundamental, what does that kind of consistent, sustained expansion really tell us?
Well, it tells us a great deal, far beyond just sales figures. This consistent global growth, that 5.1%, it points to some really strategic global shifts happening.
Yeah.
We're seeing a kind of dual push. In established economies, it's often the massive job of upgrading aging infrastructure. Think new greener energy pipelines for hydrogen maybe,
Yeah.
or the complex networks needed for carbon capture.
Or replacing the old and building for the new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then simultaneously, in developing nations, it's the foundational build-out. Modern cities, industrial zones, essential services, often starting pretty much from the ground up.
So pipes are needed everywhere, just for different reasons.
Pretty much. Steel pipes, in essence, are the tangible arteries of this global transformation. They're almost a leading indicator for where the world is truly putting its money and its effort. It's like a bellwether for global industrial ambition.
That's a great way to put it, a bellwether. Those global numbers are certainly impressive, but as we often find, the most revealing stories, well, they emerge when we drill down into the individual regions and countries.
Always the way, and the detail tells the story.
So let's shift our focus and break down where this expansion is really concentrating. We'll start maybe close to home for many listeners in North America, still a steady and strong contributor.
Okay.
In 2021, North America's steel pipe market was valued at $27.468 billion.
27 billion, okay.
It's estimated to hit $33.0005 billion by 2025 and then reach an estimated $48.228 billion by 2033. Still very healthy growth for a large, mature market.
Definitely. Now, diving into the specifics, the United States accounted for $18.852 billion in 2021, with projections of $31.814 billion by 2033. That's a 4.673% CAGR.
The lion's share, as you'd expect.
Right. But Canada shows particularly strong momentum. It jumps from $5.086 billion in 2021 to an impressive $10.105 billion by 2033.
Doubling its market size. Yeah, registering a higher CAGR of 5.911%. That's, significantly faster than the U.S. What do you think is driving that acceleration in Canada specifically?
That's a sharp observation. And while the report doesn't detail every single microdriver, Canada's growth is often strongly linked to its ambitious energy export infrastructure, particularly things like massive liquefied natural gas, LNG projects on the West Coast. Those are incredibly pipe intensive.
Right, that makes sense.
It also reflects significant investment in its mining and resource sectors too. So this isn't just sort of organic background growth, it's very targeted project-driven demand. That makes it a bit of a standout in an already robust regional market.
Got it. Project-driven.
Meanwhile, Mexico is also on a solid growth path, from
Right.
$3.53 billion in 2021 to $6.308 billion by 2033. It's a consistent 4.182% CAGR, which is indicative of its own industrialization and infrastructure needs. Still solid.
Okay, so from that dynamic North American landscape, let's shift our gaze across the Atlantic, Europe. A more mature market, maybe,
Hmm.
but still showing significant vitality. What does its projected growth from $18.421 billion in 2021 to over $31.832 billion by 2033, with a 4.624% CAGR? What does that really reveal about its ongoing industrial needs?
Well, Europe's growth, while maybe not as, let's say, explosive as some other regions we'll discuss, it still signifies continuous investment. Upgrading and modernizing existing infrastructure is huge there,
Sure.
plus the rollout of new, more sustainable technologies. We see leading markets like Germany growing at just over 5% CAGR, and the UK actually slightly higher at 5.386% CAGR.
Interesting.
And that's likely driven by everything from, say, offshore wind farm connections, which need specific types of pipes, to urban renewal projects.
Okay.
However, what's truly striking, and you pick up on this pattern, is the rest of Europe category. It actually shows the highest regional CAGR in Europe at 6.609%.
Wow, higher than Germany or the UK.
Yeah. And this isn't just a statistical blip, right? It could point to smaller economies undergoing really rapid modernization, maybe catching up, or it could be strategic cross-border
Yeah.
energy projects that are creating, outsized demand, often because they're starting from a lower base figure.
That makes sense. Smaller base, bigger percentage jump.
Exactly. It really highlights the need to look at those nuanced details within these reports, beyond just the big country names.
That's a fantastic point about the rest of Europe. Always look beyond the headlines. Okay, let's talk about the true powerhouse of growth in this sector, Asia Pacific or APAC.
Right. This is where things get really interesting on a scale level.
Definitely. This market was valued at $13.856 billion in 2021. It's expected to reach a massive $27.442 billion by 2033.
Doubling, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. With a strong 5.767% CAGR overall for the region.
Impressive.
Now, the region's top contributors include China, moving from $4.394 billion to $8.956 billion. That's a robust 6.032% CAGR. Still very strong.
Still a huge driver.
But India shows an even more impressive surge, from $1.928 billion to $4.178 billion. That's an amazing 6.591% CAGR.
Nearly 6.6%. That's really moved.
It really is. That CAGR in India isn't just impressive, it puts them firmly in the category of nations undergoing truly transformational industrialization, doesn't it? What does this rapid expansion signal for the global economy?
Well, if we connect this back to that bigger picture we talked about, the rapid expansion in India, combined with China's continued dominance and some other players like Taiwan, which we'll mention, it tells us a great deal about their aggressive industrialization
Right.
and just massive infrastructure plans.
Right.
These aren't just numbers on a page. They represent immense undertakings: urbanization, manufacturing capacity expansion, huge energy projects that are fundamentally reshaping these economies.
You can almost picture the construction sites.
You really can.
Yeah.
For India, that 6.6% CAGR is a clear sign of monumental investments. Things like smart cities, major clean water initiatives, industrial corridors linking regions. It's a key indicator of where a significant chunk of global economic activity and development is centered for the foreseeable future.
And you mentioned Taiwan.
Yeah, another surprising nugget here. Taiwan shows the highest APAC AGR at an astounding 8.323%.
8%. Wow.
Now, it's from a smaller base, $0.249 billion in 2021 to $0.631 billion in 2033. But still, that rate suggests really concentrated high-tech manufacturing expansion perhaps, or maybe critical infrastructure upgrades happening on a scale that requires incredibly rapid material deployment. It's fascinating.
Very interesting. Okay, moving geographically again, let's look at the Middle East. We find another region here with extremely robust expansion.
Yeah, this one really stands out in terms of growth rate.
It does. The steel pipe market here generated $7.01 billion in 2021 and is projected to expand strongly to $14.309 billion by 2033. That's the highest regional TGR globally, 6.354%.
Over 6.3%. That's significant.
And when we see Saudi Arabia leading this with a staggering 7.116% CAGR, nearly doubling its market to almost $5 billion, and the UAE following close behind at 6.736%. What specific large-scale initiatives are these numbers hinting at? This isn't just standard organic growth, is it?
No, you're right. This isn't just organic. It's profoundly strategic. This extraordinary growth in the Middle East is heavily driven by ambitious national diversification efforts, moving away from traditional oil economies.
Right, the big national vision.
Exactly. Think about mega projects like Saudi Arabia's Innom, its whole Vision 2030 plan, or the UAE's continuous expansion of its urban centers and its industrial capabilities. These are colossal construction and infrastructure endeavors.
Just massive scale.
Massive. And they demand foundational materials like steel pipes in vast quantities for everything from advanced water desalination plants, new energy transport systems, citywide utilities for entirely new developments. It really represents a region literally building its future, you could say, from the ground up with steel.
A literal foundation. Now, let's talk about Africa, a continent showing immense emerging potential.
Another fascinating growth story.
The steel pipe market in Africa stood at $6.032 billion in 2021 and is projected to nearly double to $11.736 billion by 2033. That's at a healthy 5.607% in CAGR.
Nearly doubling again. That's a strong signal.
It is. Leading nations include South Africa, growing from $2.708 billion to $5.651 billion. That's a strong 6.276% CAGR. And Nigeria from $2.105 billion to $4.273 billion at 5.982% CAGR.
So strong growth in the key economies there.
Oh, absolutely. And speaks volumes about a continent that's undergoing significant development and urbanization. We're looking at growing needs for pretty much everything.
Like what specifically?
Well, clean water infrastructure is a massive undertaking across many African nations. New energy pipelines connecting growing urban centers, just extensive construction projects, both public and private. Right, foundational needs.
Exactly. For South Africa and Nigeria in particular, these numbers reflect major investments in upgrading existing infrastructure, but also building new industrial capacity. It's driven by population growth, economic diversification efforts. It's a really compelling story of foundational development happening across the continent.
It really is. And finally, just to round things out, a steady contributor to the global market. South America.
Okay.
The steel pipe market here was valued at $8.721 billion in 2021. It's projected to reach $14.51 billion by 2033, growing at a 4.223% CAGR. So solid, steady growth.
Consistent, yeah. Still significant volume.
Brazil with a 4.555% CAGR and Colombia with a slightly higher 4.746% CAGR are highlighted as key growth areas within the region, likely reflecting, continued resource extraction activities and ongoing urban development.
Makes sense. A steady part of the global picture.
So let's try and bring this all together. What does all of this mean for you, the listener? We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From global projections down to country-level growth rates.
Yeah, a lot of numbers, but a clear trend.
Definitely. What we consistently see is a robustly expanding global market for steel pipes. It's an industry undergoing this fascinating balancing act, really. You've got some truly explosive growth areas, particularly the Middle East, parts of Asia, Pacific, Africa.
Those high KGR regions we talked about?
Exactly. These rapidly developing regions are really driving demand, and they're balancing out the more mature but still very robust markets like North America and Europe.
Right. Growth everywhere, but different speeds.
And the key takeaway, I think, is that this isn't just about pipes. It's a clear, tangible indicator of fundamental shifts in global infrastructure, accelerating urbanization, and these ever-evolving energy needs that are playing out on a massive scale right now.
Exactly right. These billions of dollars we've been talking about, they aren't abstract figures floating around. They reflect massive ongoing investments and development happening across the globe right now. So, for you listening, it means thinking about the tangible implications. These are the funds literally building new cities, expanding critical energy grids, securing the water systems that support growing populations, and industrial ambition worldwide.
Real-world impact.
Definitely. And it also has broader implications, for global supply chains, for commodity markets, maybe even for geopolitical strategies as nations continue to build out and modernize their foundational infrastructure, all relying on these sort of unseen arteries of steel.
That's a great summary. To sum it all up then, the steel pipe market, often overlooked, easily taken for granted perhaps, is actually a powerful and very clear indicator of global economic health and development.
A real barometer.
It is. It's a market marked by a strong and incredibly diverse upward trajectory across the whole world, demonstrating that the future is, quite literally, being piped into place.
Which maybe raises an important final question for you to consider. As the world continues to develop and, importantly, innovate, How will the demands placed on foundational materials like steel pipes evolve? Not just in quantity, which we've seen is growing, but in, say, quality and type.
Ah, interesting point.
Think about the rise of things like green hydrogen transport or carbon capture networks, or even futuristic city designs we hear about. What new engineering challenges and what new opportunities might that present for the industries and the nations that are driving this essential growth?
Right. How does the pipe itself need to change?
Exactly. It encourages us all, I think, to look a little closer at the seemingly mundane details that, in reality, power our entire world and are actively shaping our tomorrow.